Thursday, December 5th. Miss Angie, would you call the roll?
Mr. Maddox, absent. Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mr. Watson.
Here.
Mr. Towner.
Here. It's all
Yeah,
right. Can you talk to him? Go ahead. It's really important.
Yes, sir.
Hey, look, just tell me what you want me to do on that.
All right, we will. Never mind. We're gonna
In the meeting, official meeting, on speaker, newspaper sitting there. Oh, this is gonna be good. I can't wait to read this one.
Don't know what we're gonna do.
I can't wait to read this one.
Okay. Oh, that was good. Okay.
Yeah.
Number.
Hey,
No, we're good. We're good.
Oh, that's official stuff there, ain't it?
Review item 3. Review, discussion, recommendation of ordinances, new business. And the only thing I wanted to talk about, we mentioned it probably a month and a half ago, was the subdividing of lots on plats that had already been. In subdivisions with or without improvements that had already been signed and approved. And we talked about limiting that. So what I would like to do is, with the blessing of the ordinance committee, at the next meeting, introduce an ordinance that basically says if a minor subdivision, if the subdivision with or without improvements, we're not going to address minor, subdivision with or without improvements, after the final plat has been signed, no lots can be re-subdivided. Which basically means that if we develop 5-acre tracts and everybody buys based on 5-acre tracts, somebody can't go cut a 5-acre tract up at a later date.
Right.
And if you buy a lot that's a 1/4 acre or ½ acre whether it be a subdivision with or without improvements, that's what that's going to be from forever.
right.
Once the final plat's signed, that there will be no amending of the lot size. That protects everybody who has invested money in that subdivision, that everything will stay copacetic throughout, forever.
What about the smaller lots, like you're talking about? And they have a lot adjacent to them. Can they buy that?
I don't think that you've got to put 2 lots back together to build across them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think that you have to, and we'll have to research that, but I
think
believe.
you do. In Denham, I think you do.
Well, so yeah, that you then couldn't buy if you've got to put them together, you can't do it. The purpose is to maintain the integrity of the subdivision as it was developed, and people start buying, because what you see happen is
Oh, I know.
people at the front, and then later on the lots, if they don't sell well, then the stuff in the back happens, and those people bought in that development based on the fact what they thought it would be. So, do you think that we would get a favor? Y'all agree that if everything is legal in the wording, that y'all agree in principle that we're okay with that?
Oh, I'm definitely for that.
I don't have a problem. I have a lot of questions. For instance, if someone owns, say, 20 acres, and, they decide one day, I'm going to sell off 5 acres. Well, that's a subdivision.
No, that's a minor resub. That's not a subdivision with or without improvements. That's why we're not addressing the minor resub. All cutting a property apart is done through the minor resub ordinance. So that's why we're not addressing this. We're gonna only address subdivisions with or without improvements that have a final plat signed on.
And I still want to look at it some more, but I'm okay with it, sending it to the council.
Okay.
So if so we can look at it some more and try to
So
make that
the
decision.
recommendation is to send it to the council with the.
And if- yeah.
And you call for the vote real quick.
And please, or make this part of the thing, though, if there's anyone that has information on that, I want to know. I
Right.
want to hear about it so I can make a more informed decision
Right.
when it comes to the council.
So you're going to have the ordinance committee meeting November 19th.
We're just gonna bring. We're not gonna discuss at the ordinance committee meeting. We're just gonna we're gonna bring it to the council, you know, and we're gonna talk about it. I mean, because I think that everybody is in concern. I know John's got some questions, and we'll be able to answer those we'll try to get the ordinance written pretty quick and addressed to the councilman, and we'll try to get, you know, we'll send us some engineers and see if they have some concerns, you know, but I think I've asked enough questions about this on the front end. I think everybody's comfortable that this is gonna work, so. And I think it'll stop some of these problems that we've had that have reared their head in other subdivisions.
Right.
You know, when you wanna stop something, but you can't because they're not asking for any waivers, there's no variances,
Yeah.
and this'll eliminate that stuff in the future.
So would you tie it to like where there's been subdivided and there's multiple lots? Is that, I mean?
No, it's only, I mean, if it's, like, for example, if you've got a big tract and you start cutting lots out, that's under the minor re-sub deed. It doesn't, that's not how it affects. It's like if you make a subdivision without improvements, you know, you create a plat, you get a road through there or put a right of way through there and do it,
I see what you're saying.
so it's only,
Okay.
so that would have to be 10 or more lots to be a subdivision without improvements, or a subdivision with improvements, which is like, you know, Hunstock Hills. Once
Right.
Hunstock Hills is
Final plat.
final plat, like right now, there's a couple empty lots in it. Somebody theoretically could come in and buy a lot, cut it in half, build 2 houses. Once this ordinance is done,
You can't.
those lots will always be sold as one deal and only one residence.
Okay, and that's fine.
So I think that
You need a motion
Yeah, a motion to recommend
to
and
the
to the full council
to
on
the
the
council
19th.
on that 19th.
You got a second, Bo?
Yeah.
And any objection? None. So no objection, so it carries unanimously. 4A, oh wait, shoot, that was 4A. That was old business. Okay, 4A, I'm sorry. I thought 4A was gonna be something else. So that was 4A. Okay, 4B, Shane's not here, he's not gonna be here in time. He wants to bump
Speed bumps.
speed bumps. So we're gonna bump speed humps. 5 other business. Bubba had called. He wants to talk about 1937, which is the ordinance with respect to grinder pumps. And I'll be honest with you. We had a discussion in the back, and you know, just kind of hashing out our ideas. You know, the 3 of us before we got here, which is perfectly legal because we didn't have a quorum of the whole council. So, you know, we kind of, and I just gave my opinion. I think the first ordinance we passed was the best ordinance, the one that got vetoed, because ultimately it had the professional asking the question of the homeowner. I think Mr. Harrell will testify the fact that when he bought his house, he thought he was tied to city sewer and didn't realize he had a grinder pump. And if it had all been done properly at the time and a good pump had been in there, he might still not know he had a grinder pump. So to have the homeowner responsible for making that disclosure and not have the professional ask the question is my concern about this situation. So, you know, I just feel that if we're not gonna hold a realtor responsible for asking this disclosure question, we can't have the homeowner responsible for not disclosing the fact that they have a grinder pump. So maybe what we need to look at doing is, I know there are grinder pumps out there that this isn't gonna address. Maybe we need to look at outlawing grinder pumps in the parish. You know what I'm saying? And then because there's nothing that can't be done with a lift station that you know would be better than a grinder pump. Now I know people are gonna say they're the same thing, but in essence, if you develop a subdivision with gravity sewer to a lift station and then pump it, the sewer company will take responsibility for that lift station. But they're not gonna take responsibility for all these grinder pumps. Or, let's make the ordinance so that if a sewer company takes responsibility for a subdivision that has grinder pumps, they're responsible for the grinder pumps themselves. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think there's a couple ways to do this, but I think that this way of trying to make homeowners responsible for disclosing and saying that developers are responsible forever is not really the way to move forward. So I would like to see us just trash this ordinance. You know what I'm saying? I know that there's been a lot of time, a lot of effort put into it, but I'm not sure if we're gonna leave realtors out, the professionals that have the job of knowing what the law is, that get the commission for getting the property disclosure filled out, then if we're gonna leave them out of the process, we can't make the homeowner responsible for not knowing to disclose it. That's my feeling. Eric, do you have something to?
Yeah, the only thing that I want to add to that is.
Just introduce your name, say your name and address for us.
Harold, 1049 Road. The main thing is, I think this was kind of handled in the wrong way, in the direction of, I'm wanting something at the administration level, at the permits office, to actually know what's going on and to actually check stuff, because that clearly wasn't done in this situation. And actually putting an ordinance, that somebody moves in a year, sell their house in 3 years, never had a problem, and then 6 months down the road, the new owner says, I didn't know I had a grinder pump. You gonna put him in jail?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
I think if it's not gonna be mandated that the professional knows to ask the question in the disclosure, situation,
Yeah.
then we can't have anybody help us.
Oh yeah, like, I've tried to get meetings with people to try to get something changed for over a year and a half. So, until I, get the people where they're mad, they want to start talking.
Well,
It's none of y'all, but y'all are doing the right thing.
so the comment I made that either we make the sewer company accept from the grinder pump on or outlaw 'em. You don't have a problem with that either direction.
I have no problem either direction on that. It's either ban them or actually get somebody to write up a concrete plan on when they can be used, how they can be used, and it actually be checked off right.
So,
You just willy-nilly just throwing these things in, you're messing people over.
so Bub, are you good with maybe looking at this in a different direction on this thing?
Yeah.
So are you good with that,
I'll
John?
tell you what I'm ready for. I'm ready for this to get out of my dream.
Well, I think that what we thought we were gonna accomplish initially
Right.
was to my gut feeling initially was that people felt from Eric's original testimony and some of the people, we know that there was some concern about the design, but a lot of people bought and didn't realize where they were. So
Yeah.
I think we tried initially to solve that situation,
Yeah.
to try to educate or let people be informed. And I think the politics of, having those realtors responsible got in the way of that. So
Yeah.
let's either get rid of them or let's make the sewer company that accepts them be responsible from the pump on, and then figure out which way we wanna go with this ordinance. But I think this particular ordinance has kind of gone a direction that we don't really wanna go.
There's ordinances out there. I even sent one. I think I might have tagged y'all in on the email, where they actually have provisions in there for the sewer company that if it's actually misuse of the homeowner, they're liable for it.
That's in this packet that we got today.
No, that right there is just showing what was supposed to be put in and what wasn't put in.
Oh, okay, I got you. If you don't have my email.
Yeah, I got your email.
Okay, just send me that ordinance that you've got with
Okay.
respect to where you found, so we can look at, some areas, somewhere to start on how to
Yeah.
address this,
All right.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
So y'all agree with asking the council to just table this ordinance or defer, what's the best way to make it go away? Table it, just table this ordinance as it is right now and look at addressing this in a different direction.
Yeah.
So we got a motion from you on that, Bubba?
Right.
You good with that, John?
Second.
Any objection? Okay, that's unanimous too. So, that being said, I got a motion for adjournment.
I'll say that.
Bubba,
Second.
second, John.